right, example 2 on page 23. Let's try that one. So they're asking us how many members there are, and we're told that each member plays in at least one of the three, is part of one of the three, I guess, sports or participates in them. So that's probably the first when you have this, and don't get too used to it, but this is telling us that there are no outliers. Okay, so that's first and foremost. And the ultimate question is, right, how many members are there? What's the universal set? And we have tennis. If you scan a bit more, there's racquetball and squash, right? The question didn't do a good job at setting it up, but we'll just go with it here. So we've got tennis, racquetball, and squash. Yeah, I have that here, my universal, unknown, tennis, racquetball, and squash. Okay, so there's a bit of a curveball here down below, which we're gonna look at in a moment. 43 play tennis, so we know that that 43 goes here, not in here. 11 play tennis and racquetball, so T and R, that intersection, that's right here. So the 11 would belong to this section here. So we put it outside for now. We just know that these two need to add up to 11. Okay, 7 plays tennis and squash. That would be T and S. So this section right here is 7. 6 plays squash and racquetball. So we know that that intersection here is 6. Don't put it inside. And this is where we have 84 play racquetball or tennis. So it's the union of racquetball, right? This is saying the number of members in racquetball or tennis is 84. Okay, the union of R and T. So I'm going to use a highlighter to make that, but we know that these two circles combined would add up to 84. That's what that is saying, and that's going to help us figure out what we're missing if there's anything that is missing. Then we have squash or tennis, that's 68. So that's the or again, squash and tennis, like the union between those two circles or those two sets. Let's park that for a bit. Don't touch that right off the bat. We know that the intersection of all three, right, the number of T and R and S is 4. That we can confidently say goes in there. Now you work your way out. So 11 minus 4, that's 7. Okay, so these two add up to 11 though. 6 minus 4, that's 2. 7 minus 4 is 3. Right, so we know this adds up to 7, 11, 6. So we're good. Notice that these two numbers are unknown to us, but we do know that this is 43. So let's tackle this one and let's figure out this would be the members that are only in tennis, nothing else. So we'll just go 43 minus 11, right? That takes care of these two, minus 3. And that gives us 29. So I already have the key here. So provided I don't make any mistakes, we're good to go. So that's 29. What about these two here? Well, let's go back and see what we've got. R union T, these two. So I'm going to show that union. Right? This union we know is 84. So if we were to add everything up, that should be 84. Okay. Can you use pi? Yes, you can use that formula whenever you want. Try it out. But in this case, we know all the sections except for this one. So I'm going to say, well, with that reasoning, I would have to say, well, let's go 84. You know that everything is 84. I'm going to take away 43 from the 84, right? That takes care of all these numbers, 43 coming from here. And then I'm also going to take away the 2 yet that is left over. And once I subtract all of those, you should get 39. Okay. So knowing that the whole orange section is 84, let's start taking away some of the values so that we're only left with that 39. Right? So there we go. And that now allows us to figure out R, just R, which is this circle right here. So we can go, right, we can just add up all these values here. So 11, 13, and 39, that is 52. I'm going to use a red pen for that. Okay. So just adding. So after you do a bunch of these, you'll be comfortable, adding or subtracting, whatever you need to do to get the rest. Now let's deal with this. How do we deal with that? If we knew the universal, given that we have everything except for this section, we could have just taken the universal and start subtracting, and then we're left with that. But we don't have the universal. That's actually the ultimate. So I'm going to now kind of zoom in or focus on this other piece of information that I got here. S unites T. So S unites T, that's this one right here. Okay, that union is 68. So I'm just going to say, well, if I just look at the green here, the combination of that, I know it's supposed to be 68, and I know all numbers except for this one. So I'm just going to go 68 minus. This whole thing is 43, I know because of that. It's just faster. Minus the 2 here. And you're left with 23. Okay. And there you have it. So this is what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to highlight that 68 and the 68 there, so you know how did I start this process. I used that piece of information. And the other one, I'm going to use purple maybe, the 84, that helped me to figure out. So fill in what you know, move out, and then as you get to the outskirts, go back and see if there's some unions there that are mentioned. Okay, so now we need the total. So n of u, I'm going to start with this. Oh, I forgot to add up s, right? All of these numbers combined would give us, give me 1 second here. I'm just going to go 7. This is 7, right? Plus 2 plus 23. That's 32. I'm going to use a red pen because that I did that later on. So there we go. But now back to universal. So 43 plus, I'm just going to add these 3 numbers here. 39 plus 2 plus 23. And that would be, according to my key here, 100. 1 second. I'm just going to double check. That's supposed to be 107. I get 107, 107 members. And so there, filling out the whole thing allowed us to figure out the 107. Now, did I need to figure out these numbers out here? In this case, not. But if I ask you to fill out a completed Venn diagram, that's what I would expect to get the full marks there. And then I can ask you anything I want. So we're going to go up and just make sure we finish this off with 107 here. This would be a completed Venn diagram with all the information filled in. Let's do example 3. It's my lunch break, so hopefully before the bell goes, I get to finish this one. Again, each student is playing at least one instrument, no outliers, but don't get too used to it. Find the total number of students. So it's similar scenarios above. So I'm just going to say, have my circles here. Universal is unknown. We have, in my key, I have piano, I have violin, and I have saxophone here. And so in this case, 6 play all three, that goes down the middle. 163 play the piano, that is outside here. Doesn't say only piano, right? Anything else. 36, piano and violin. So piano and violin is right here, that intersection here. So that's 36. Play piano and saxophone, that is over here, that is 13. 11 play saxophone and violin, that's out here, that's the 11. There's the or again, violin, so the union between these two sets and another or. So we're going to use that later on. Okay, so let's fill in what we know. 36 minus 6, that's 30, because we know these add up to 36. 6, so 11 minus 6 is 5. 13 minus 6 is 7. Okay, beautiful. We know that number, so we can figure this out here. This would be 163 minus 36, which takes care of this, minus 7. And that is 120. Now, we need to figure out the other two. So it depends on which one you want to start with, but you need to pick the right one. So 208, that would be number of violin or piano is 208. So that'd be these two here. I'll use orange for that. So you're gonna forget about the third set there. You know, everything except for this one section. So we could just go with 208 minus, I'm gonna take away 163, right? That takes care of this whole thing, minus 5. And that gives you 40. And then now we can deal with this piece of information. Saxophone unites violin. That's 98. Let's use green for that one. Okay, saxophone, violin, these two. So I would have to say here, if you would have started with this, right, with these two, use this piece of information first, you would have been stuck because you don't know that, you didn't know that piece, you did not know this piece. So it is important in this case to start with the or here, the union between these two, because that's the only missing piece. There's the union between those two. And yes, I'll fill in violin in a bit. So here we have 98 minus. If we figure out violin, it'll be faster. So let's do that. So it'll be 45. 75 plus 6 is 81. So I'll use a red pen for that. So 98 minus 81, right? All of this minus 7 gives us that, which is 10. And now we can add all of these up. So we have 17, 23, 28. There. So this is completed, and we know that there are no outliers. So now we're going to figure out n of u. So we're going to go with 163 plus, so you already added that, 440 plus 5 plus 10. Hello. And that adds up to 218. There we go. And the type 2, I will do that one later.